Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are not messing around. We are jumping straight into the gory, glittery heart of Tina Romero's queer horror comedy masterpiece, Queens of the Dead.
Yeah, this thing is a ride.
It really is. We're talking 98 minutes of pure, unadulterated drag queen zombie carnage, and it's all set inside this one Bushwick drag bar on what has to be the single worst Halloween night ever.
Ever. And before we get into any of that, we have to give you two critical warnings. First, a hard warning for you listening. The subject matter, the language, the themes we're going to discuss today are explicit. They're raw.
Very raw.
Yeah, it's all centered on visceral horror and drug use. So this deep dive is absolutely restricted to listeners aged 18 and over. We will be using strong, uncensored language. It's just that kind of film.
It is. And on top of that age restriction, you're getting the biggest, bloodiest spoiler warning we can possibly issue. If you haven't seen this film, then fuck that, because you're getting the entire plot, the climax, the detailed gore, and that final gut punch twist right here, right now.
We're leaving nothing on the table. No suspense left.
None. Our mission today is simple. We are unpacking this absolute gem of source material, how it manages to blend that classic Romero legacy, you know, the Dawn of the Dead style siege horror, with this high-heeled, ego-driven drag culture flair.
And why it's such a bloody, irreverent tribute to that legacy. It's not just using zombies. It's using drag as both an aesthetic and as actual weaponry.
Exactly. But before we dive in, maybe we should quickly set the stage on what we mean by the Romero legacy, for anyone who isn't a total horror buff.
Right. It's not just about zombies, you know. It's about social critique. George A. Romero's films, they almost always feature these slow-moving, relentless hordes, but the real focus is always on the failings and the conflicts of the living people trapped inside.
They always tear each other apart before the zombies get a chance to.
Totally. Their self-destruction is usually way faster than the zombie consumption. And Queens of the Dead uses this template perfectly. It locks down the House of Infinite Queens in Bushwick, Brooklyn, and makes that venue the heart of their chosen family, an inescapable cage.
The drama isn't just surviving the dead, it's surviving each other. So let's cut the crap and start with the setup.
Let's do it.
So what the sources really highlighted for me right away is that opening sequence. It happens before we even hear the bass drop inside the club.
Yeah, it's such a strange, subtle little moment.
It is. You see a drag queen, fully decked out, dropping off a donation at a neighborhood church. It's festive, it's charitable, and it immediately sets this, like, off-kilter tone. This isn't some hidden-away community.
No, they're integrated. They're part of the fabric of the neighborhood, operating within it, but also, you know, distinct from it. That contrast is so key.
It establishes that they're multifaceted, right? They're devout, charitable, glamorous, messy, all these things at once. It makes the space feel real before the apocalypse just reduces it to a fortress.
And then we go inside the House of Infinite Queens, and we immediately hit the internal bullshit that the siege is going to amplify 100 times over.
That internal club tension is absolutely critical. We meet Dre, the owner. She's fierce, she's focused on the safety of her people, but she's immediately bickering with her brother-in-law, Barry.
The straight-laced manager.
The straight-laced manager who is, frankly, completely unlikable at the beginning. He is obsessed with inventory, worried about profit margins.
He sees the performers as business assets, not family.
Not at all. And that friction between Dre's whole found family ethos and Barry's preoccupation with the sheer mundane business shit of running a club, it's established immediately.
Yeah, the sources note this creates a vital microcosm of conflict, the found family dynamic, which is so central to queer communities, right? It's all based on these chosen emotional bonds and mutual support.
Right, outside of the biological, often heteronormative family structure.
Exactly. And the zombie outbreak is going to test whether those chosen bonds can withstand life or death pressure, especially when the person in charge of logistics, Barry, is constantly undermining the emotional core of the group.
And we also get introduced to the whole ensemble. There's Nico, the ego-driven newbie, already flirting on his phone with Jane, his partner who's outside the club.
Then there's the veteran, Yasmin, who is pure diva. She demands the spotlight.
And that simmering rivalry between Sam, who's kind of haunted by some past failure or maybe just deep-seated imposter syndrome, and Ginsey, the sassy, confident mentor figure.
The club is a powder keg of ambition and resentment before a single zombie even shows up.
Totally. And all this internal pressure is brewing right alongside the external doom. The sources mention the subtle foreshadowing, like the news reports buzzing about some unusual flu outbreak.
Which everyone just dismisses as typical sensationalism. It's classic Romero. Society just ignores the signs until it's way, way too late.
But the real kick in the teeth, the critical plot point, is the infection vector. This is where the shit really starts, and where the film departs from your standard outbreak narrative.
It does. The film chooses a vector that is so culturally specific and so deeply ironic.
Yeah.
Jax arrives with heavily contaminated party drugs.
From some shady, anonymous supplier.
Exactly. And it's brilliant horror comedy because the infection doesn't come from some sterile military experiment or a corporate spill. It comes directly from the tools of the party itself, from the desire for that immediate chemical escape.
The thing that was supposed to make the night better is the thing that brings death through the door.
Yes, obviously.
And this immediately sets up Nico's arc, which is so central to the film's whole guilt and redemption narrative. He's the one who gets those tainted drugs.
He's the one who takes them, his ego, his desperation to fit in, maybe just to party harder and prove himself. It just completely blinds him to the danger.
When the source material says this is where the seed of his future guilt is planted, I mean, holy shit, it's a setup that pays off terribly. He brought this contamination, this internal danger, right into his chosen family.
Even if he didn't realize the biological risk, he made the choice. It makes the horror personal rather than just external. This isn't just a zombie movie.
No.
It's a profound comment on how self-inflicted wounds or poor judgment driven by ego can have these devastating apocalyptic consequences. The external apocalypse is tied directly to these internal failings.
It also gives Dre's character so much weight early on because, you know, she warned them about that supplier. She was worried about the bullshit quality of the product, and now that bullshit is literally eating their friends.
It's just perfectly constructed.
So the atmosphere is electric, the tension is high, they're getting ready for the main show, and then everything just goes violently sideways.
That shift from pulsing house music to screams, it's so immediate and completely visceral.
It's the classic, visceral opening of a siege. The sources emphasize the nature of the infected. They're pale, shambling clubbers, and they're just drawn by the bass and the noise.
Dre and Barry immediately try to barricade the place, but panic has already gripped the club. There are all these unnamed extras who you just know are not going to make it to morning.
And then comes the critical, utterly boneheaded mistake that, frustratingly, always happens in these movies. Jimmy the bartender.
Oh, Jimmy.
He's clearly panicked, and he cracks the door open just a tiny bit to see what the commotion is. And he pays for it instantly. He gets mauled mid-sentence.
We're talking a squib-heavy, gory stray. His throat is torn out literally as he's trying to say, what the...
It's a statement of intent from the film. Within minutes of the breach, a core member of the staff is gone. It confirms this isn't temporary. It's a fatal lock-in.
So they seal the entrance with whatever they can find. Heavy equipment, refrigerators trapping themselves inside with dwindling supplies, and those rapid cuts to the outside, showing infected rats and failed evacuation broadcasts on their phones. It just underscores their isolation.
They are truly alone. It's completely fucked up.
But the most immediate, horrifying payoff isn't from the street. It's from inside, from the tainted drugs.
Right. Jax, who took the drugs with Nico, transforms right there in the dressing room. He convulses violently, his veins turn black, his eyes glaze over.
And his teeth sharpen. It's this sudden, very personal transformation that confirms the danger was already inside.
Yeah.
The external apocalypse just gave the internal virus permission to show itself.
And this leads to an impossible choice that defines the early part of the siege. Jax is their friend. They can't just mercy kill him.
No, not in cold blood. But he's actively dangerous. So the tactical decision is made. They lock Zombie Jax in a go-go cage on stage.
Which is an absolutely chilling, brilliant piece of staging. It turns a former point of glamorous performance into a prison of trauma.
It is, and this is where the thematic analysis really has to linger. The cage acts as a stage, but it's a stage for exposure. Jax's agonized groans just echo through the bar like this twisted, grotesque solo performance.
It's awful!
The sources discuss this as a profound metaphor. The confinement, the public spectacle of trauma, maybe even mirroring historical anxieties of queer confinement or the public exposure of shame or disease. They literally cannot look away from their own contamination.
What's fascinating here is how the trauma of the outbreak is immediately internalized by the characters. This is some heavy, unavoidable shit.
Totally. And it forces Nico, the guilt-ridden instigator, to confront his own bullshit. He has this gut-wrenching breakdown right there, confessing that his ego and his desire for a cheap high blinded him to the drug's danger.
He goes from being the cocky newbie to this incredibly vulnerable, guilt-ridden survivor in a single devastating scene. He is forced to stare at the physical consequence of his selfish choices, now caged and growling right there on the main stage.
And that moment solidifies the film's thematic ambition. They aren't just fighting the undead, they're fighting the shame, the consequences, and the poor judgment that led them to this point. It's a truly fucked up predicament that forces immediate maturity onto the survivors.
So while the main group is besieged, the film wisely cuts away to show us what's happening outside. Specifically, it focuses on Bray's wife, Lizzie, who's a nurse, and Jane, Nico's partner.
Yeah, that really broadens the narrative scope. It avoids that single location fatigue that plagues so many siege films.
And the hospital intercut is a stylistic marvel. Lizzie and Jane are fighting these rampaging undead orderlies and doctors in a place that's supposed to be about healing, but is now just pure chaos.
And they're improvising. They're using IV stands, bed rails, scalpels. The sources detail Lizzie impaling a zombie orderly in what's described as a balletic, improvised drag fight sequence.
It's highly stylized. It shows that fighting dirty can also be graceful, which I love. It emphasizes that survival isn't always about brute strength. Sometimes it's about choreography and quick, adaptable thinking.
Skills honed on the stage.
Exactly. And this is the section where the thematic connection to identity really deepens, which is so vital for the film's core message of resilience.
Right. Jane, fighting for her life alongside Lizzie, opens up about her profound fears of coming out. It's revealed she's trans and closeted, and that ties her personal struggle for self-acceptance directly to the film's larger fight against external monsters.
They are literally fighting the Walking Dead while having these deeply personal, identity-defining conversations.
That is the quintessential brilliance of Tina Romero's approach. The zombies are the catalyst, but the true emotional stakes are rooted in self-acceptance and visibility. Jane's fight against the undead is paralleled by her fight to embrace her true self.
It's a common narrative thread in queer horror that the greatest survival act is often being fully, authentically visible.
Yeah. Let's cut the crap on hiding who you are when the world is literally ending.
And this emotional breakthrough happens right before the cavalry arrives. Pops, who is Lizzie's resourceful, tough-as-nails mechanic, shows up with Twiz, a club kid ally.
They arrive in a makeshift armored van, and they're blasting RuPaul anthems at maximum volume to distract the biters. It's a perfect, campy, tactical moment amid all the horror.
It is. Fuck that silence. Sometimes you need a high-volume musical distraction to survive.
It's a wonderful blend of practical survival tactics, using sound to manipulate the horde and cultural identity. The music isn't just mood-setting, it's a strategic weapon, a signal of their presence.
They are proclaiming their identity loudly, even in the face of death. But that relief doesn't last. We get Yasmin, the glamorous, self-absorbed veteran diva, making her dramatic entrance back into the club.
She's clicking her high heels over corpses, but she's so focused on her own drama, so self-involved that she doesn't warn the group about the huge swarm of zombies trailing right behind her from the side alley.
Her diva status momentarily compromises the entire group.
And the consequence is immediately brutal. It emphasizes that ego and carelessness are still fatal flaws.
Yeah.
A new swarm overruns the rear door and claims a background club kid in a blender-like limb tear.
The sources describe the gore there in detail. It's raw and violent. It reminds you that no matter how glamorous the survivors are, the threat is always fatal and indiscriminate.
And meanwhile, Barry, the straight man manager, is still failing miserably at every practical attempt to help. He fumbles a Molotov cocktail and singes his eyebrows.
It proves his business acumen doesn't translate to crisis management at all. It makes you so pissed off at him, but it's effective for his arc later.
Right. But then we hit the truly heartbreaking loss that really solidifies their resolve. The lights fail across the entire block.
And Pops is outside, trying to jury-rig the generator from a manhole, guided by Barry's useless commentary from his phone.
It's this deeply tense, prolonged sequence, and it culminates when the real horror detail hits. Rabid, swollen rats, infected and bloated, pour from the sewers and attack Pop's legs.
Oh my god, the rats. That whole sequence is so fucked up on multiple levels. It's claustrophobic horror, body horror, and siege panic all rolled into one.
And Pops knows immediately that she's doomed. She realizes the contamination, the extent of the bites. She screams into the walk-in, "Tell Lizzie I love her!" And then she takes the ultimate action.
In a heroic, blazing climax, she intentionally electrocutes herself and the massive rat swarm with exposed cables. It's this pyrotechnic glow that brings the lights back on inside the club.
but at a tremendous, devastating emotional cost to the survivors. The sources really emphasize the sheer power of that sacrifice.
Her final moments totally transform the tone. The group's response toasting Pops with stolen champagne, a blend of tears and lip-sync humor, is absolutely vital.
They grieve, but they keep going. It deeply reinforces that found family theme. They're unified by tragedy and immediately resilient.
They are pissed off by the loss, but they process it collectively and instantly move into action. Fuck that long, drawn-out mourning period. They channel that grief into the resolve to survive.
Exactly.
So, with the lights back on and an escape plan forming, Dre dispatches two of the most emotionally loaded characters on a scouting mission, Ginsey and Sam.
The frenemies. They have that history of rivalry, and Sam is still carrying all that heavy baggage of past performance failures and self-doubt.
And Dre needs them to get that delivery truck that's rumored to be outside.
They're armed beautifully, too. A fire axe and sequin shields. It's a gorgeous blend of practicality and high camp.
Their mission is straightforward, but on the way to the truck, they get cornered. And this is where Ginsey, the mentor and sassy veteran, truly achieves legendary status.
Oh, Ginsey's death drop sequence. It's not just action, it's high-performance art cinema. She slays, what, like a dozen zombies?
At least. It's this highly choreographed fury. Stiletto stabs, axe spins, all set to these throbbing Vogue beats. It's pure, stylized, campy gore.
And it highlights how the discipline of drag, the physical control, the dramatic flair, is directly transferable to combat. Her performance is her weapon.
It's a moment designed to make you cheer and then just immediately gut you, because just as they reach the hot-wired truck, a relentless mega-horde overwhelms Ginsey.
She fights valiantly, but she knows she's done. She manages to whisper to Sam, her frenemy and mentee, "Slay for me, honey," before being torn apart.
In a truly heartbreaking, glitter-rained mall, it's a gorgeous, terrible death that serves as the final lesson for Sam.
Ginsey's sacrifice is the catalyst for Sam's full transformation. Sam hotwires the truck, but then realizes the group needs a distraction more urgently than they need transportation.
So Sam abandons the truck and returns to the bar, but this isn't the same tentative character we met at the start.
No, this is the powerful character moment the entire film has been building towards. Sam, who has been sidelined and haunted by those past failures, returns, donning full drag.
They embrace their identity not as a flimsy costume for a show, but as essential psychological and literal armor.
Yes. And using that immense confidence they get from that visibility, they lead a distraction dance from the rooftop. This is where the movie delivers on its promise.
Fuck that internal failure Sam carried earlier. They owned this moment. The drag persona is confidence made visible. It is the strength to stand against a horde, commanding space and attention.
It's an act of defiant visibility. Meanwhile, back inside the club, Nico, still racked with guilt and forced to listen to Jax's groans, is spiraling again.
He contemplates suicide with a broken bottle, lamenting his fake confidence and his imposter syndrome. He feels like a fraud, the one who brought all this doom on them.
It echoes Jane's earlier arc about the struggle for self-acceptance, but Nico's struggle is centered on self-worth.
But Dre delivers the necessary tough love, the absolute perfect line that snaps him out of it. "We're all monsters tonight, own it."
Such a good line.
It's incredible. And it finalizes Nico's emotional breakthrough. You don't have to be perfect or fake confidence. You just have to survive and be authentic, embracing the parts of yourself that others might reject.
And that acceptance allows the redeemed rivals to finally function as a team. Barry, the straight man manager, and Yasmin, the veteran diva, finally team up.
They weaponize the club's inventory. They use disco balls as improvised grenades in this glorious, glittering zombie piñata bash.
It beautifully balances high-stakes action with pure, delicious camp. The entire group is finally operating as a unified, resilient unit, using all their unique, previously antagonistic talents. Even Barry finds a use for his repressed anger.
So the team has achieved this internal harmony and multiple redemptions, but they still need to escape. Kelsey, the plucky, tech-savvy intern.
She deciphers Pop's final garbled message and realizes there's a prearranged boat at the East River dock for a pride evacuation.
They need a window of time for the 9 survivors to get out, and this is where Tiger, a truly fierce, flamboyant club kid, volunteers for the suicide mission to hold the bar.
And it is one of the most surreal and comedic horror sequences in the entire film, a perfect blend of high camp and desperate action.
Tiger's Stand is absolute beautiful chaos. They blast this mega mix, the most infectious, danceable tracks like YMCA cutting straight into It's Raining Men over the massive speakers.
And it mesmerizes the slow-moving zombies into these glorious, fucked-up, undead conga lines.
Tiger is voguing from the DJ booth, directing the horde, drawing them deeper inside, giving the others the precious seconds they need to bolt.
It's a pure spectacle of distraction. Tiger stays behind with a flare gun and ignites a massive confetti bomb that just engulfs them in pyrotechnic flames.
And the scene cuts away quickly. It's an ambiguous scream cut, implying a heroic sacrifice, but it leaves that possibility of survival open. We don't see the body, just fire and confetti.
It's a brilliantly ambiguous end for a character who provided the most vital tactical service.
Yeah.
Distraction through performance.
So the core Group 9 survivors in total bolts through the dark Bushwick alleys, and they're using their drag tricks for practical purposes. False lashes are thrown as decoys.
Contour powder is smeared on their faces to camouflage against the grime and blood. Every single element of their identity, once used for spectacle, becomes a tool for survival.
And Jane and Nico finally reunite. They have this tearful, authentic kiss. Jane fully embraces her identity and comes out literally mid-apocalypse.
And Yasmin gets her final diva moment of glory, slaying a zombie bride in an unforgettable wedding veil duel.
And their escape vehicle is truly next level and so deeply thematically resonant. They pile into an abandoned pride float, a gigantic makeshift rainbow chariot.
Ramming biters like a glorious queer battering ram towards the dock.
Yeah.
You cannot get more thematically bold than using the symbol of visibility as your final weapon and means of survival.
It's the ultimate statement on visibility as power. They are charging through the crumbling city in a vehicle that represents their community, their pride, and their defiance.
They finally hit the river dock that Pops had secured earlier. But of course, there's one last terrifying, fucked up challenge.
Aquatic undead. They start lunging from the murky water.
And Twiz, the resourceful club kid, uses a scavenged machine gun from a totaled police car, providing cover fire from the bow.
And Sam, who has fully redeemed themselves, saves Dre from being pulled overboard, which completely solidifies their reconciliation and trust.
They finally board the boat. They're leaving a Manhattan skyline burning behind them. They cheer. The found family is intact, bruised, and resilient. They've survived the worst, unified by their trauma and their chosen identity.
It's a moment of pure, earned triumph, which makes the final absolute gut punch coda total bullshit for the audience, and frankly, deeply frustrating, especially after all those sacrifices.
I agree. It completely undercuts the relief. But that's the terror of the Romero tradition, right?
Yeah.
Nico, the character who introduced the infection vector who we saw pocket some of those contaminated drugs earlier,
Twitches on deck.
his eyes snap open, milky white, right in the middle of the group hug, and then fade to black.
That ending is designed to make you absolutely pissed off, but it's so brilliant.
It is. It immediately raises the question. Does the internalized danger, symbolized by Nico's initial ego and drug use, ultimately doom the group regardless of the heroic, visible sacrifices of Pops, Ginsey, and Tiger?
It implies that the contamination, the virus of shame or poor choices, is inescapable.
And while some sources we looked at argued that this ending cheapened the heroic sacrifices by making it all inevitable, that's precisely the point of this horror tradition. You escape the physical siege, but the infection, the societal virus, the self-inflicted wounds, is always with you.
It sets up the sequel, sure, but it also implies that the very internal bullshit they thought they left behind is what's going to kill them now that they're safe. It's a thematic masterpiece of existential dread.
So synthesizing everything we've covered, Queens of the Dead is just a glorious glam zom-com gem. It masterfully uses a siege narrative to explore identity, chosen family, and resilience against both external and internal threats.
The sources highlight that fantastic 80-20 character-to-chaos ratio. The film spends 80% of its time on the messy emotional dynamics, the feuds, the coming out, the guilt, the romance, and only 20% on the external chaos.
But because the kills are so specific and visceral, they count for double the impact. We noted how the kills often function as metaphors, Jack's in the cage as exposed trauma, or Ginsey's beautiful, terrible, glittery mall as the ultimate sacrifice of the mentor.
And we have to tally the high cost of this escape. We noted 5 major definitive casualties: Jimmy, Jax, Pops, Ginsey, and Tiger.
Ambiguous, but yeah, likely gone. And the survivors are 9 strong, but with that fatal twist concerning Nico, the surviving core group is now confirmed to be contaminated. The physical threat is gone, but the internal clock is definitely ticking.
So what does this all mean for the film's message? It asks a powerful central question. Is the strength of chosen identity and found family bonds truly enough to withstand both the external infection of a collapsing world and the self-inflicted infection of internal conflict and poor choices?
And the film's answer, judging by that coda, seems brutally honest. Yes, the bonds will save you and unite you, but that salvation comes at a catastrophic cost. They survive as a unified family unit, but the contamination they brought with them might be an inescapable consequence.
But let's end on a provocative final thought that really captures the film's spirit. Considering how vital drag was as a defense mechanism, using fashion, wigs, and sheer sass as armor, camouflage, and distraction, what does this film suggest about the power of visibility and performance in moments of utter crisis?
That's a great question.
In a crumbling world, is being visibly extra, being undeniably present in your identity, actually a superior strategic form of survival? Sometimes when the world is ending, you don't need subtlety or quiet competence. You need a giant rainbow chariot and a good distraction voguing on a rooftop to win. Think about that the next time the world feels completely fucked up.
Until next time, embrace the chaos and stay informed.
And stay slaying.